Hey, what's going on? It's Kevin here, and we're just about approaching the New Year. So, what I wanted to do is record a new video about a topic that everyone is talking about right now, New Year's resolutions. So, I'm kind of curious, have you set them yet? Well, before you go ahead and set your New Year's goals, or before you run around and start telling all your friends about them, I want to share a really interesting yet shocking study in neuroscience that was actually done about New Year's resolutions. So there's a British psychologist named Richard Wiseman, and what he did is he surveyed over 3,000 people about their New Year's resolutions, and the results were really shocking. So out of the 3,000 people that he surveyed, 88% of people failed to follow their New Year's resolutions. Now, that may not be shocking to some of you, but here's the shocking part. He also surveyed them about their attitudes towards their goals. In other words, he asked them, how confident do you feel that you're actually going to achieve your New Year's goals? And 52% of people said that they were confident that they were going to achieve them, and yet only 12% did. In other words, about half the people that are watching this video are probably thinking like, now's the time to make the change, and, I'm going to set out to do this, and I'm ready. And yet, probably about 80% of you are going to fail. Well, the question is why? Why do so many people fail to follow through with their goals? And that's what he really sought out to figure out. Well, here's what he boiled it down to. It comes down to your willpower. And once again, that may not be that shocking to you, but he's a neuroscientist, and they get pretty brainy and geeky. So he actually boiled it down to the part of our brain that is responsible for our willpower, which is the prefrontal cortex. That's right around the area of our forehead. And this part of our brain is actually responsible for things like keeping us focused, solving abstract problems, and also managing short-term memory. Now, there was actually a separate study done in regards to willpower and our prefrontal cortex over at Stanford. Now, this research study was like 10 times more fascinating. So what they did was they actually took a group of college students and they separated them into two separate groups. One of them was given a 2-digit number, and another one of them was given a 7-digit number to remember. And they were instructed to walk down the hall. And at some point down the hall, they were presented with two snack options. One was a fruit bowl, and the other was a piece of chocolate cake. Now, here's where things get really, really weird and interesting. The group that had to remember that 7-digit number were actually twice as likely to take the piece of chocolate cake. So you might be wondering why. Well, the guy who was leading the research study boiled it down to something called cognitive overload. In other words, our brain was so consumed with remembering the extra piece of information that when it came down to resisting temptation, it was already overloaded. Now, this is kind of weird, but also revealing of, just how feeble our sense of willpower and self-control is. See, most people think that the reason they fail is because they don't have enough discipline or they don't have enough willpower. They think that, if only I was more disciplined or if only I just worked harder, then I would be able to make the changes that I really want. Well, what this research revealed, which is kind of startling, is that our willpower has a finite capacity. In other words, we all have a limited amount of willpower, and it's taxed on the same part of our brain that also has like 100 different functions throughout the day. And something as simple as asking it to remember a few extra numbers is enough to overload it and get it overwhelmed to the point where something as simple as making a better choice becomes compromised. Now, the effects of kind of this research is kind of startling, and it makes us realize just how weak our willpower really is. Now, I don't share any of this stuff with you in order to discourage you or prevent you from making a positive change in your life, not at all. The reason I'm sharing this with you is because I want you to understand kind of the inner workings of our mind and what happens when we set out to change things. Why? Because you need to have realistic expectations. Our prefrontal cortex, although it's very evolved, and it's came a really long way throughout the course of evolution. We can now manage and solve a lot of complex problems, remember a wide range of things, but our modern life and all the technology and the internet and TV and phone and all the stuff that is stimulating and taxing on us overloads that part of our brain, so that when it comes down to something like avoiding your favorite foods, we tend to slip up and fail. So what does this mean? What should you do instead? How do you actually set your New Year's goals in a way that you can follow through and achieve them? Well, the first thing you need to do is understand just how feeble our sense of self-control really is, and to not overload kind of your brain with trying to make all these positive changes, like losing 10 pounds, focusing in more at work, paying off your debt, and all that other stuff. That's just one thing too many, if 5 extra numbers was enough to overload us. So instead of trying to tackle everything at once, what I would recommend is picking one really important thing that you can focus on now, and then spread out some of the other changes you want to make throughout the year. Now, most people don't do this, because we live in a culture where self-improvement is not really like an ongoing value that we have. It's something that we maybe entertain once a year around New Year's. We set out to make all these ambitious changes. We get all enthusiastic and optimistic, and we're like, I'm going to do this, this, and that, and this is the year, my time is now. And then we get overwhelmed, frustrated, and we ultimately fail, and then we beat ourselves up, and we try to make the same goals next year, only to fail again. So instead of doing that, just focus on one important change that you want to make now. Now, when I say focus on an important change, I don't mean like losing 10 pounds or picking some sort of bad habit to kick. That's what most people do. Most people treat their New Year's goals like some sort of glorified version of Lent. They just pick some sort of bad habit to kick or some sort of thing to give up. Now, there's nothing that wrong with doing this if you succeed. The problem is that even if you do succeed, even if you are successful in making that change, in the grand scheme of things, it's pretty insignificant. What good is it to work really hard for a week or two, maybe a month at most if you really stick with it, and lose a few extra pounds, only to revert back to your normal weight and then put it all back on around Thanksgiving next year and all the indulging and that kind of thing, and then end up at New Year's again trying to lose weight? Like, what have you really achieved? Or what do you get by joining the gym and going pretty consistently, and then it comes springtime and like everyone is gone and it's empty again? What have you really done? Nothing that significant in the grand picture. So what I want to challenge you to do is to think a little bit deeper about this. I want you to really reflect on your life and take stock of, where you are, where you've been, and where you want to go. And pick some sort of change that will really make a difference. Pick something that will actually have an impact on your quality of life. So pick something that you'll be able to look back on and truly be proud of. Now, this might require you to think a little bit deeper about your New Year's goals and really reflect on your life as a whole. Now, I'll share a little bit more about how to do this in my next video, but today I wanted to leave you with 3 key points to consider as you reflect on your life. So, as you think about the year that's just passed, I want you to focus on 3 things. I want you to focus on things that you can appreciate as number 1. Always got to start with appreciation. There's a good quote that says, what you appreciate appreciates. In other words, as you focus on the things that you can be grateful for and proud of, they actually grow. You'll uncover more things. So always make sure to look at your year through the eyes of gratitude. Even if it didn't go so well, even if negative things happened, find things that you can appreciate even in spite of the struggle, in spite of the hardship, in spite of the challenges. Find some sort of benefit in it that will not only help you cope with the adversity, but it's also going to help you take away an underlying lesson that once you grasp, you'll realize that it's actually a pretty positive thing. So, number 1, focus on things you can appreciate. Now, number 2 is focus on things that you want to eliminate. Think about things that frustrated you throughout the year, things that you hated, that you didn't enjoy, things that you just don't want to deal with anymore. And that's okay to focus on that too. This isn't about covering it up and being overly optimistic. It's about looking at the good and the bad, but try to look at the good first. So many people jump to the negative right away. So, number 2, focus on things you can eliminate. And number 3, which is the most important of all, is to focus on things that you want to create, whether that's finding the love of your life, getting into better shape, writing a new book, starting a new business, whatever that might be for you. Focus on what you want to create in the new year. See, you have a whole blank canvas in front of you. There's so much that you can get done in a year if you actually focus and choose a goal that is worthy of your time and attention. So really, really think big. Think beyond just like, I want to kick this bad habit or I want to lose weight. Think of something amazing that you really want to do with this year. So let me give you a little bit of an insight into how I've approached this process in my life, specifically last year. So as I was reflecting on my year, I thought about what can I appreciate? Well, I was running an amazing business where I was getting paid to do what I love, and I was making money by making a difference. I loved it. I got all these life-changing testimonials and emails and touching stories about how, my books and my videos have literally transformed their lives. It was just so fulfilling to receive, and I was really grateful for it. But as I thought about things that I wanted to eliminate, things that were really kind of annoying me. So here's what I was annoyed by. I was really annoyed at, business, the day in, day out kind of stuff, all the little details, all the tasks that I had to do. It would frustrate me to no end. I hated focusing on the minutia. I really liked things like this, being creative, making videos and helping people and all that kind of stuff. And what happened is I got so caught up in things like advertising and setting up blogs and all the technical details and websites and domain names and, just a whole bunch of craziness that it was literally stressing me out. I was always worried that, I wasn't doing enough. There's always this thing that I could be doing. There was always some sort of technical thing that I needed to cover. And it was just a really, really frustrating process. So one of the things that I identified that I wanted to eliminate was frustration. And the other thing that I really wanted to eliminate was obligation. I always felt like I was obligated to do this stuff. Like if it wasn't going to be done by me, no one was going to get around to it. And that was true. I was kind of a one-man show, which since then I've expanded and, hired some great people on my team that do this for me. But, that only came as a result of focusing on what I want to eliminate and ultimately create. So, I got so tied up in all this technical stuff and all this stuff about my business that I didn't like, that I felt obligated to it, that I didn't feel like I had the freedom to really do the things that I enjoy, to do the things that really got me into business in the first place, to be able to be creative and to make an impact in people's lives. So what I did was I shifted that for the new year. I wanted to focus on the opposite of frustration and obligation. So I made it a point to focus on freedom and creativity, the real things that I wanted to get from my business. And throughout the year, that was a guiding focus. I was constantly thinking from the lens of like, how can I create more freedom for myself? And how can I make time to be more creative? And, this wasn't just one little thing like, oh, set aside an hour on Saturdays to write after you do all the technical stuff that you hate throughout the week. That's a really small change that, you kick and then you just don't do. It was really like this underlying commitment to a new way of being, a new way of showing up in the world, and to really having a different quality of life. So that's what I want you to take away from this. I want you to see this as kind of like a big picture change that you want to make. Because if I just focused on, okay, hire a person to do some technical stuff. Okay, I cleared a little bit of frustration off my plate. But if I'm still focused on doing all the other stuff that I maybe didn't quite hire, I'd still be frustrated if I didn't think, I'm not going to go on and on about it. I think you get my point, is to really expand this towards the course of your life and see how you can make one lifestyle change that will ripple across all areas of your life and really change stuff. This is an opportunity for you to start fresh and to really create a new beginning if you use it right. And that's why I'm giving you these tools to really assess your life and figure out where you've been, where you are, and where you want to go. And if you follow this proven 3-step formula that I kind of followed in my own life, actually over the past 4 years now, I think you're going to be able to make some really, really profound changes. Like I said, I first started doing this about 4 years, and every time I do it, every single year, my life just keeps getting better and better. It's phenomenal how just this one little thing just totally changes everything. I used to make New Year's goals the same way that everyone did. I want to do this. I want to become more whatever. And I would never actually achieve it until I started making goals this way. So hopefully this has impacted you. Hopefully this has kind of revealed a new way of doing things. So if you've already set some New Year's goals, that's fine. I'm not telling you to flat out abandon them, though I would recommend it. But, at least follow this exercise temporarily and really go through this and see how you can focus on something bigger for your life. And if you do, I think you'll be able to make some extraordinary changes. This is something that I'm going to be doing this year as well. Even though I really strive to live in a state of constant self-discovery where I'm really tuned into myself and how my life is going and, how I've been feeling and where I've been and where I want to go on a daily basis. I always carve out the time to do this every single year. It's become like a sacred ritual for me. I try to carve out at least a week to focus on this and to really stop and see the big picture. And I recommend that you do the same thing. If you can't devote an entire week to it, at least, unplug for a day and get away from technology, get away from the phone, from the internet, from work, or even in the evening. It doesn't have to be a whole day. Just spend some time with yourself to really tune in to where you've been and where you want to go. And the answers will come from within you. It's not going to be some superficial change that, it's like, I want to lose 10 pounds. I want to go to the gym 3 times a week. That's not going to cut it. It has to really emerge from within as a new way of being. And if you really sit with this stuff, I think it's going to make a profound difference. So I'm really excited to share this with you. I've done this every single year. I'm going to do it again this year. I'm actually leaving to Mexico for vacation for 10 days, where I'm really going to be kind of like sinking my teeth into my year, into everything that's happened, and really absorbing all the wisdom, all the juice, all the amazing things that have happened, and really determining kind of my next path and kind of new things that I want to create for myself. And I'm going to be sharing that with you in some of my next videos. I'm also going to be sharing a bunch of other stuff, with you actually while I'm in Mexico. I'm going to be taking this little camera here. So I'm actually going to be shooting from the beach in Cancun. You won't see this kind of like fancy little setup here with like the Buddha and the bamboo plant, but I promise it'll be even more beautiful scenery. And I'm going to be sharing some really insightful stuff in the next videos as well. I'm really going to take this stuff a lot deeper and show you some of the more intricate things that go into this process. In my next video, I'm going to share the number one thing that you absolutely must do when setting your New Year's goals in order to make sure that you really stick with them and follow through. I'm also going to share a really interesting study that I actually read in Time magazine that revealed the 5 most commonly abandoned New Year's resolutions. I'm going to show you why they were abandoned, what you can learn from them, and what to do when setting yours so that you actually achieve them and don't just kind of give up a few weeks into it. So make sure you stay tuned for the next video. I'm going to be doing it on the beach in Cancun. Like I said, it's going to be beautiful. I'm going to be sharing some more really interesting stuff with you. So if you're not already subscribed to get these videos, make sure you enter your email address below. There should be a little thing that pops up right there. once you enter your email address there, I'll send you an email with the next video as soon as it's posted. Yes, I'm actually going to be recording and editing this stuff on vacation. It's because I'm really that passionate about it, and I want to be able to give back and serve you with things that have really impacted me and allowed me to live an amazing life where I get to just enjoy myself, take lots of vacations, and relax, but also come back, re-energized and even more committed to what I'm doing, and it's going to be really, really sweet. So make sure you subscribe to get my next video. If this video has helped you, like I said, please do me a favor and share it with others. I can't do this alone, so just take the link, email it to one of your friends, post it on Facebook on your wall. This is stuff that will really serve your loved ones, your community, whoever just kind of stalks you on Facebook. Just share this with them. I'd really appreciate it. Anyway, I really hope that this video has helped you. Make sure you scroll down and leave me a comment. Share the results of that exercise I gave you. Write out, what you can appreciate, what you want to eliminate, and what you want to create. Don't be fooled by the simplicity of this exercise. It's really, really powerful stuff. Like I said, I've done this every year, and it's just totally transformed my life every time I've done it. So post your answers below, share this with your friends, and look forward to my next video. I'll see you when I'm in Cancun.